Good morning, students. I am Milinder Shande, Assistant Professor in English at JS College of Commerce, Varda. Welcome you to A class of BCom first semester Supplementary English subject. And the topic that we are going to discuss today is Tryst with Destiny, written by Jawaharlal Nehru. In fact, this is not a lesson written by Nehru like the other authors have written the basis of literature. In fact, it is the speech which was delivered by the first Prime Minister of Independent India, Jawaharlal Nehru. It means Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. This speech was delivered in the Constituent Assembly on the eve of Independence Day. It means in the midnight of 14 August 1947. So, before going to discuss the main part of this speech, furthermore, I would like to call it the lesson because this speech is given in form of lesson in our syllabus, in BCom first semester supplementary syllabus. So, before going to start the main part of the lesson, or before going to throw some light on what is given by Jawaharlal Nehru or Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru in his speech or lesson, I would like to give you some information about this great man, the freedom fighter, the first Prime Minister of this nation, this India. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, 1889 to 1964. Independent India's first Prime Minister was a prolific writer in English. All of us know about Jawaharlal Nehru that he was a politician, he was a freedom fighter, but apart from that, he was a well-known, a prolific, a great, a famous writer also, and he has penned down, he has written, he has published some very important, substantial great works that include an autobiography. Secondly, the Discovery of India. This Discovery of India is a much more famous book by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. And thirdly, there is another book, Glimpses of World History. In them, we see an admixture of humanism. Admixture means mixture. Admixture of humanism, Manavdavad, nationalism, Rashtriyata, and internationalism, Antarashtriyata. Letters from a father to his daughter contains inspiring accounts of India's greatness. A letter which Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru had written to his daughter Indira Gandhi. Letter from a father to his daughter contains inspiring account of India's greatness. It also throws light on his active involvement in the movement for freedom, that is the freedom of nation, India. Though born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Silver spoon in his mouth. This is a phrase, this is an adage, this is a phrase. It means Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was born in a financially sound family. His family, his father and mother also, it means his parents were well so far as their financial condition was concerned. Though born with a silver spoon in his mouth and educated in England, he chose to toil in the struggle for India's freedom. Though he belonged to such a family which was financially very sound, he participated in the movement for India's freedom. He chose to toil in the struggle for India's freedom. He considered Mahatma Gandhi as his guide and philosopher. All of us know that he was very close to the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi. And throughout his life, he thought of Mahatma Gandhi as his idol, as his icon. And there was great impact of Mahatma Gandhi on Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru in his personal life as well as social life. So he considered Mahatma Gandhi as his guide and philosopher. Now we come to this title, A Tryst with Destiny. Tryst means appointment and destiny means fate, bhagya. A Tryst with the Destiny is a speech delivered by Nehru on the eve of India's independence. I already told you this in the very beginning, from the British rule. The speech was delivered to the Constituent Assembly of India in the Parliament House. In his speech, he recounts the sacrifices made by the innumerable unknown volunteers and soldiers of freedom. He throws light in this speech on various aspects of national life, and he remembers, he pays tribute to this speech to our ancestors who had to sacrifice their lives for the freedom of our country, our nation. He reminds his fellow countrymen the responsibilities that freedom and power bring. The challenges are many to bring opportunity to the common man, to fight and end poverty and ignorance and disease, etc. He calls upon the Indians to think not only about themselves but also about the entire humanity. This is because the dreams of India and those of other countries are connected with each other. In his opinion, no nation can exist and prosper in isolation. It's because why Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru has said this. It's because we have become a global village today. We cannot live in isolation as an individual, as a country also. This is the fact of today's life. It was the fact of 1940s, 1950s, and it is the fact in today's time also. So now we will discuss the main part of his speech or this lesson at risk with destiny. Let's go line by line, and I would explain you the meanings of those lines. Long years ago, we made a tryst with destiny, and now the time comes when we shall redeem. Redeem. I have written this word here on the board. Redeem means fulfill. When we shall redeem, we will redeem our pledge. Our pledge means promise. Not wholly or in full measure, but very substantially. Very substantial. Substantially here means effectively, greatly, at the stroke of the midnight hour. You should remember one thing, that this speech was delivered by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru on 14th August in the midnight time. When the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom. A moment comes, which comes but rarely in history, when we step out from the old to the new. From the old to the new means from the old times to the new times. When an age, an era ends, and when the soul of a nation long suppressed finds utterance. Utterance means here its own voice. It is fitting that this solemn moment, solemn moment, we take the pledge of dedication to the service of India and her promise, and to the still larger cause of humanity. Now see. Here Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru in the very first paragraph of this lesson says that a few years ago, or many years ago, we had made a promise to the country or the countrymen, or to the people of this nation. When this promise was made, when we were in the slavery of British Empire. It means when India was a part of the British Empire, we were in slavery, we were not free nation, we were controlled by the British law, we were controlled by the British people. We were in that slavery, and that is why when India was going to be granted freedom on 15 August in 1947, in his speech which was delivered on 14 August, on the eve of independence, he says that we had made promise. We had made promise means our forefathers, we also. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru is saying this. We means the generation of Jawaharlal Nehru, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, or the people of that time. We have made so many promises in the past and the present also, and we must remember all those promises, because from the next moment, when the entire world sleeps, India will awake. Because in the midnight at 12 o'clock, India got freedom, and that is why we celebrate our Independence Day on 15 August 1947. And that's why he reminds the people of the time that we have made so many promises to our people, and it is our moral responsibility. It is our responsibility to keep the promises, to deliver the promises, to fulfill. He has used the word redeem, which means fulfill the pledges or the promises. Next it says, and it also in very effective manner. It's because till yesterday we were in the slavery, but today we are free. It means on 15 August we are going to be free nation. That's why we have much and more responsibilities. We cannot break the promises made to our people, and definitely we were the part and parcel of the British Empire earlier, and that is why he has used the word long suppressed. It's because we were under the British rule, we were under the British Empire for nearly 150 years. It is a huge time, it is a very big time, a very big period of time, and that is why he has used the word long suppressed. But now today, on 15 or 14 August, we have got our own voice. It's because we are going to be a free nation. We won't be under the British Empire. Furthermore, in the next paragraph, he says, at the dawn of history, since the beginning of human world, at the dawn of history, DAWN, rise, beginning. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru further says, at the dawn of history, India started on her unending quest and trackless centuries. Trackless, countless, unending, which has no end, quest, search, are filled with her striving and grandeur of her success and failures. Since beginning, when our country came into being, since the ancient times, we have been fighting. We have been in constant search for something. We have achieved so many things. We have failed in so many things also. So, success and failure is the life, is the part of our life. And as a nation also, in past as well as in present, we have achieved, we have succeeded in so many things, and we have failed in so many things. We have lost so many things. But this is happening since the beginning of this nation. Through good and ill fortune alike, because our life is not same. Ups and downs are there. Ups and downs are there in our personal life. The same situation is there in our social as well as national life also. And that's why he reminds all these things. He is giving this speech in front of Constituent Assembly members in the Parliament of India, and he is making them realize their responsibilities also at the same time. When he says that it is my responsibility, it means it is the responsibility of the rulers, the ruling class, the ruling people, to meet the promises or to meet the expectations of the common people. He says, at the dawn of history, India started on her unending quest, and trackless centuries are filled with her striving, working hard, continuous effort, striving, and the grandeur, greatness of her successes and failures. Through good and ill fortune alike, she has never lost sight of that quest or forgotten the ideals which gave her strength. This line is very important. When Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru says ideals which gave her strength. Why does he say so? It's because we are a multicultural society. We have so many religions, and each religion has its own culture, its own thought. So many good things are there in nearly all the religions. All the religions teach about friendship, equality, love, tolerance, etc. It means, in other words, we can say that we have a very rich culture in our country. The people from different culture and religious backgrounds are there. So many philosophers were born like Buddha and Mahavira in the nation that we are living in. And that is why he says that she has never lost. She means what? She means India. It refers to our nation. She has never lost sight of that quest or forgotten the ideals which gave her strength. And this philosophy, this great culture has given us means with the people of this nation, with the people of this country, has given her means India. It means to us strength. We end today a period of misfortune and India discovers herself again. We end today a period of misfortune. Misfortune, a long separation, nearly for 150 years by the British rulers. And that is why he says that we end today a period of misfortune. That long period was of misfortune because so many atrocities were afflicted on the people. We were looted, we were oppressed, we were suppressed, we were sabotaged, our wealth was taken to England. So this misfortune has ended or is going to end. And then we end today a period of misfortune and India discovers herself again. Again we are going to be free. We are ready to fly in the sky of freedom. And that is why we have much more responsibilities on our shoulders also. He makes this realize to the people who are sitting in that Constituent Assembly, in the Parliament, that we have much more responsibility today than ever in the past. And then he says, the achievement we celebrate today is but a step. The achievement, what achievement? Freedom, independence. This great achievement after 150 years. The achievement we celebrate today is but a step. He calls it just a step towards what? An opening up of opportunity to the greater triumphs, victories. Definitely it is a great victory so far as India is concerned, so far as the people of this nation are. Next it says, and achievements that await us. It has brought to us so many opportunities. About what it's given in the next paragraphs. It says it is a great achievement for the Indians. It is a big achievement. It is a lofty achievement. It is really a great achievement for the people of this nation. But it makes us aware of one thing else. Definitely this is a great achievement. There are so many responsibilities ahead of us, and that is why we must very seriously think of those things also. We must ponder on those things also. It says, are we brave enough and wise enough to grasp, to understand, to think, to have insight of or about this opportunity and accept the challenge of the future? Challenge. Challenge of the future. Definitely so many challenges were there in front of us. And we have to accept those challenges, because we are going to be free nation after 150 years. Earlier we were under the British rule, and that's why we were not free, and that's why we have lost so many things. But now furthermore we are going to be a free nation, and therefore we have so many challenges in our national social life. Next it says, freedom and power bring responsibilities. Definitely we are going to be a free country, and the power, the parliament will be under the control of Indians. We will have our own law, we will have our own constitution in future. He is saying this in his speech in 1947, right? Freedom and power bring responsibility. So your independence has brought to us the responsibilities, the power that you have got today, that you have obtained today, that you have achieved today, has brought to us much more responsibilities also. The responsibility rests upon this assembly, The Constituent Assembly members were there, the parliamentarians were there, and that's why it makes them realize that on your shoulder there is a lot of responsibility. You have to meet so many challenges which are there before you, which are served to you. Definitely you have to accept those challenges. You have to make a way through that situation. He reminds them of their responsibilities. The responsibility rests upon this assembly, this parliament, these representatives of the people, a sovereign body, a supreme body. In a democratic nation, people are supreme because we send our representatives through elections in the parliament who make law, who enact laws. It is their responsibility to implement the laws in the interest of the common man, in the interest of the common people, in the interest of nation. And that's why Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru in his speech says what he says: the responsibility rests upon this assembly of sovereign body, the supreme body representing the sovereign people of India. Sovereign people because in democracy the common people are supreme, because we have one of the greatest, one of the biggest rights, that is of casting a vote during the elections, and the people are sent in the parliament by the common masses of this nation, irrespective of their caste, religion. Each and every person living in this nation has the right, after completing 18 years of. Then he says, the responsibilities rests upon the assembly, a sovereign body representing the sovereign people of India before the birth of freedom. It means when we were in the slavery, Ghulamgiri, when we were under the control of the British people, before the birth of freedom, we have endured. We have endured. We have both, everything. We have endured all the pains of labor, and our hearts are heavy with the memory of this sorrow. Definitely, so many people had to go this tumultuous situation which was there during the British era in our country, and so many people had to sacrifice their lives also to free India from that shackles of slavery. Some of those pains continue even today. During that time, during the British era, poverty grew, unemployment grew, so many social problems rose, and those problems continued also after independence also. And that's why Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru says, some of those pains and problems continue even now. Similar problems are there in our country. He says, nevertheless, the past is over and it is the future that becomes us now. But try to forget the past. There is nothing left in the past. Don't waste your time in remembering the past time only, but try to chalk out your plans for the future also, so that you get out of that situation, so that you become capable, so that you become competent, so that you become able to sort out the things properly, to finish, to end those problems which were there in our country yesterday, in our social life, in our national life. And that's why he says, it is the future that becomes us now, that awaits us now, that is calling us now. It means we have to look ahead. There is a great landscape of future for us. There it is. That future is not of ease or resting, but of incessant striving, so that we may fulfill the pledges. We may redeem the pledges, the promises we have so often taken, and one we shall take today. And in order to fulfill these promises that we have made to our people, what is required? Incessant, continuous, tireless, relentless, striving, efforts, hard work is required. And he again reminds this to all the people who present that assembly. The service of India means the service of millions who suffer. Obviously, for a nation, for a national life, for a leader who is the representative of one particular country, and that also democratic nation, the service to nation means what? The service to nation means the service to common people. Whatever is done, it should be done in favor of the common people for their upliftment, for ending the poverty, illiteracy, or other such issues from the nation or the problems from the nation. It means the ending of poverty, ignorance, and poverty and disease, inequality of opportunity. The ambition of the greatest man of our generation has been to wipe out tear from every eye. Here, the greatest man of our generation, the father of nation, Mahatma Gandhi, was an idol and a great philosopher, was the main spirit behind the independence movement or freedom movement. He recalls the words of Mahatma Gandhi and says that it was the dream of Mahatma Gandhi to wipe every tear from every eye. It means to uplift each and every person. That may be beyond us. Maybe it is not possible now, but definitely it has to be done in future. But as long as there are tears and suffering, so long our work will not be over, and so we have to labor, we have to work hard, we have to labor, we have to take some pain, definitely, and to work hard, and to work hard to give reality to our dreams in order to materialize this thinking. If you want to translate our dreams into reality, then definitely we have to strive hard, we have to work hard. As a nation, collaborative efforts are required. Those dreams are not, those dreams are for India, but they are also for the world. This dream is not limited, this dream is not confined to this country only. It is the requirement of the entire world. We should try to wipe every tear from the common people's eyes, and it should be done in the entire world. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Here we see his humanitarian outlook. Those dreams are for India, but they are also for the world, for all the nations and peoples. Peoples means the people from different countries. That is why this word peoples is used. Otherwise, in general, we make the use of what? People. P-E-O-P-L-E word only. Peoples are to closely knit. They are brought together so closely. As in the beginning, I just pointed out that today we have become a global village. We have come close to one another. Together today, for any one of them to imagine that it can live apart. We cannot be a separate nation only. We cannot live in isolation as a nation. Peace is said to be indivisible, which cannot be divided. So is freedom, so is prosperity, now and so also is disaster in this one world that can no longer be split into isolated fragments. It means if one country is in danger, definitely other country also is in danger, because we are interconnected, we all, the nations. And that's why if there is freedom in one country, there should be freedom in another country also. And this is our moral responsibility to maintain all these things. If in one country there is disaster, then it is our then it is our moral responsibility to help those people who are living though in another country. So we share happiness as well as sorrows as a nation. Then further it says, to the people of India whose representatives we are, the people sitting in that parliament, they are the representatives of common people, common masses. We make an appeal to join us with faith and confidence. He makes an appeal to all the people of the nation that you should join us, because we are your representatives. We are working in your favor. We are working for your upliftment, and that is why you should join us with full confidence in this great adventure. This is no time for petty and destructive criticism. There is no time. Don't waste your time in petty politics and criticizing the governments, or you can say the representatives, because he has delivered the speech on 14 August 1947, and the next day we have got freedom. And that is why it was a kind of paradigm shift so far as our national life was concerned. From slavery, we were going to enter into the freedom, from the old times into the new times, from the old era into the new era, from the British slavery to the freedom. And that's why I say there is no time, don't waste your time in petty politics and criticism, etc., or small things which are of no importance. He says further, to the people of India whose representatives we are, we make an appeal to join us with faith and confidence in this great adventure. This is no time for petty and destructive criticism, no time for ill will or blaming others. There is no time for blaming each others. No way. We have to build the noble mansion. We have to build a nation of free India where all her children may dwell, where all the people of this nation, irrespective of their culture and religious backgrounds, linguistic backgrounds, they should live together in an amicable manner, in an amicable way, friendly way, like brothers and sisters. They should live peacefully. This is our dream, and in order to materialize this dream, then definitely the collective effort should be made, keeping aside the petty things and criticism, etc., which are of no importance at all. And he makes Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru makes realize this particular thing to the people around him in the Parliament of India. Then he says, the appointed day has come. The appointed day, it means this great day has come. We have achieved independence. The day appointed by destiny and India stands forth again after long slumber. After long slumber, slumber means deep sleep. We were in slumber, we were in slavery for 150 years, and after that we awoke, and that's why we are open. And that's why it says, the appointed day has come, the day appointed by destiny by fate, and India stands forth again after long slumber and struggle awake, vital, free and independent. We have re-energized ourselves. We have woken from the deep slumber. We are in present. We are free now, and that's why we have achieved independence or freedom to a greater extent as a separate, as a independent nation. But at the same time, we have so many challenges and responsibilities also. The past clings onto us. The past sticks to us. Still, even today, he says this because we have so many problems in our country, which were there in the past also, even present also, we are facing the same problems and challenges. Vital, free and independent, the past clings on to us still in some measures, and we have to do much before we redeem the pledge. We have so often taken. At the turning point is past. The history begins anew again. For us, the history which we shall live and act, and others will write about. Definitely, we are going to make a history, and that history will be written in golden words by our future generations, because we are going to do something different, and that will be in favor of the common people. It is a fateful moment for us in India. It is a great moment for us, for we, the common people of this nation, for all Asia, for the Asian continent, for the world. A new star rises. The star of free India has risen. The star of freedom in the east. The star of freedom in the east. A new hope comes into being. A vision long cherished materializes. May the star never set, and that hope never be betrayed. It means he says that definitely in future also we are not going to lose this freedom. A lot of efforts, a lot of hard work, we have achieved this freedom, and that's why he says that we should take precaution that we never lose our freedom at anybody's hands. We rejoice, we are enjoying in that freedom, even though clouds surround us. This word is very important. Clouds. Clouds surround us. Clouds means problems, challenges, like poverty, literacy, religious differences, casteism, etc. So many problems were there. We rejoice, we enjoy. In that freedom, even though clouds surround us and many of our people are sorrow-stricken and difficulties and problems encompass us, even though we are surrounded by all these things, we rejoice, we are happy that we have achieved freedom. But freedom brings responsibilities and burdens, and we have to face them in the spirit of a free and disciplined people. On this day, our first thoughts go to the architect of this freedom. Again, these words refer to the father of Indian freedom movement, Mahatma Gandhi, the father of our nation, who embodying the old spirit of India. Embodying means represents the great culture of India in the modern times. Held aloft high the torch of freedom and lighted up the darkness that surrounds us. We have often been unworthy followers of his and have strayed away from his message. He is criticizing, in fact, the people of his own generation who were supposed to be the disciples of Mahatma Gandhi, but in fact they went away from his message. They did not follow his message. It means Mahatma Gandhi's message, and that's why this is criticism of those people by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. But not only we, but succeeding generations will remember this message and bear the imprint of Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy in their hearts of this great son of India. Definitely, though some of the people of this time have failed to follow Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy or his thoughts, definitely the succeeding generations, the coming generations, the next generations would definitely remember him for his greatness and would implement his thoughts. Magnificent in his faith and strength and courage and humility. Humility means politeness. We shall never allow that torch of freedom to be blown out, however high the wind or stormy the tempest. Means whatever problems are there in our country, we have to be competent enough to face all those challenges so that the flag is always high of the freedom of nation. Our next thoughts must be of the unknown volunteers and soldiers of freedom who, without praise, appreciation, or reward, or any kind of reward, have served India even unto death. So many people are there or were there who sacrificed their lives. In the history, if we study history, we know only some people's names, but definitely there were much more. So many people were there who lost their lives or who willingly sacrificed their lives for the freedom of the nation. And definitely he remembers or he pays homage to them also through his speech in the parliament. We think also of our brothers and sisters who have been cut off from us by political boundaries. Definitely in 1947, India was divided into two countries, India and Pakistan, and some people had to leave their land, their motherland. Definitely we have the feelings for them also. We should share their happiness and their sorrows also, who are beyond the border. They are of us and will remain of us whatever may happen, and we shall be sharers in their good or ill fortunes alike. Then he says in the ending part of this lesson, the future beckons us, the future is waiting for us, the future awaits us, the future is calling us. Whether do we go and what shall be our endeavor, what shall be our efforts to bring freedom and opportunity to the common man, to the peasant, means farmers and workers of India, the common people of this nation. What can we do for their upliftment? We should think about this seriously, to fight and end the poverty and ignorance and disease, to build up a prosperous and democratic and progressive nation, and to create social, economic and political institutions which will ensure justice and fullness of life to every man and woman. Here three words are important: social, economic and political institutions. Indian Sansad, Reserve Bank of India, Supreme Court, all these are very important institutions in our country because the common people are benefited from all these things, right? We have hard work ahead. There is no resting for anyone of us till we redeem our pledge, till we fulfill our promises that we have made in past or even now, till we make all the people of India what our destiny intended them to be. we are citizens of a great country on the verge of bold advance, and we have to live up to that high standard. We have to live up to that high standard. All of us, to whatever religion we may belong, are equally the children of India with equal rights, privileges and obligations. We cannot encourage communalism, casteism, religious discrimination, etc., or fundamentalism or extremism, etc. We cannot afford these things, and narrow-mindedness. For no nation can be great whose people are narrow in thought or in action. Then just go 3 lines on left. To the nations and peoples of the world, we send greetings and pledge ourselves to cooperate with them in furthering peace, freedom, and democracy. And to India, our much loved motherland, the ancient, the eternal, and ever new, we pay our reverent homage, and we find ourselves afresh to her service. Here Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru says in the end that we must remember all the responsibilities, we must realize all these responsibilities, all these challenges and the promises that we have made to our people, because we have to deliver much more, because now we are a free nation, and that's why he says that we have sent the greetings to the all democratic nations of the world, and definitely in future we have to work collaboratively to end these problems, social problems in our society, and that's why he has made an appeal to all the enlightened people of the world that they must come to help one another so that we can be a good world. We can, so far as India is concerned, we can be a good nation, and we can fulfill our promise, and we can help the common masses, the common people. So this was the lesson at destiny, or a speech delivered by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru in the Parliament of India in 1947. Thank you. Let's stop.